do really appreciate it. And I actually, when you first asked me, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be so easy. And I didn't realize how hard this actually was going to be. But before I start, I just really would like to encourage everyone who has ever experienced any type of diversity issues, because diversity issues is not just a Black issue. It's a Hispanic issue. It's a woman issue. It's a male issue. It's an LGBT issue. If you are Muslim, you've dealt with it at some point in time in your life. I have friends who are transgender and have been fired from a job as soon as they learn. So if you've had any of those experiences, I really encourage you guys to reach out, speak to Riyadh, and, you know, be one of the speakers in one of these meetings. I just really do encourage you to do that. So with that being said, I just wanted to start with, one thing that I've been, you know, dealing with as a Black woman is my natural hair. So this is my 4th time trying to go natural. And every time it's like, okay, it's not going to be pretty enough. It's not going to fit the European standards, because in our Black community, it's always been told to us that our hair is ugly. You know, our hair isn't professional. And so it's been a struggle for me to like really own my beauty and own my hair and accept my hair. And it was even a struggle to even want to come on camera with my natural hair. I just did my big chop about 2 months ago. And big chop means where you cut your relaxed hair off for your natural hair. And so it's like, how can I tell my girls, you know, that our hair is pretty and to love who you are? How can I tell them that when I come home every day with relaxed hair and their hair is kinky natural? And so that's just something that I struggled with. And so I was like, you know what, just chop it off and own it, you know? But in our community, it has been deemed as ugly. It goes all the way back to after the slaves were free. Black women were not allowed to wear our natural hair. We were required to have before we walked out the door, we had to have our hair scarfed up. If not, you could be lynched, you could be beaten. So it's just kind of a stigma or a curse that's been placed on us, and it just followed throughout the years. Even today, there's states right now that are they're trying to pass laws saying that we can't wear our natural hair. And then there's some states who are trying to pass laws that telling jobs and schools that they can't discriminate against our natural hair. There are people who've been fired for dreads or not hired for dreads. There's a student last year, I don't recall his name, and I didn't have time to pull up his name, but he was expelled and couldn't graduate because he had dreadlocks, all because of our hair, you know? And we're trying to now break out of that and own our beauty and own our natural hair. And it's like, why is our natural hair just so stigmatized as not beautiful, or we have to compromise to the European standards to be accepted for our natural beauty? And it's, you know, and it goes down to, you know, light skin, dark skin, etc. That's just something that we deal with, and we deal with today. It looks like my camera on the computer started working too. So, and then you talk about education and growing up. When I would go to school, there wasn't books that looked like me. There was no books. And so my dad, his name is Don Tate. He is an author illustrator for children's books, and he does book signings all around the U.S. He's very well known for his books. And in the last 8 to 5 years, he has decided that he is only writing books and illustrating books that are of the minority. So Hispanics, Asians, African Americans, he will only do that for children's books. And when he does these book signings, he goes to schools and he donates these books to the schools so that they can see, so students that look like me or who look Hispanic, they can see themselves in these books. And he then created the Brown Bookshelf Club, which it promotes diverse books in schools. So you guys can also look that up too. It's an amazing group. They just recently did a book signing here in Tucson a couple of years ago. And so that right there is, you know, it's amazing. And then when we talk about schools, you know, when I was in school, We learned about European history. We learned about the Civil War. We learned about the Holocaust. We learned all that, but we didn't really get to learn about us and who we are and where we come from. The only thing that we got to learn was in February, we got to learn about Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and that was it. We didn't get to learn about Rosewood. We didn't get to learn about Tulsa, which is Black Wall Street, now is known as the Tulsa Massacre. We didn't get to learn that stuff. We didn't get to learn how, you know, we heard about it and our parents taught us about segregation and stuff like that. We didn't get to learn about that, which is why my dad does what he does. You know, one of my dad's books, actually a parent is trying to get one of his books banned because one of his books talks about segregation and teaching about segregation, and she's trying to get one of the books banned, and it's turning into a real legal battle right now. So it's just interesting, and it leads into why HBCUs are created. People are upset because they believe HBCU stands for Historical Black Colleges. And with Historical Black Colleges, they were created because we were not allowed in schools. It's not that we're trying to go against anybody, but they were created because we couldn't go to school. We couldn't go to universities. And if we did, we had to sit outside of the classroom and listen through the door to get our education. So it's like, why do we have to do that? So we're going to create these HBCUs, which they're now trying to defund, saying that it's racist. And it was like, well, they're created because we couldn't be a part of you guys, you know? And so then we go into my experiences. And my experiences is going to be hard for me to talk about. That's my son. But my experience as a Black woman and a mother of 3 Black boys and a husband who is Black, and I have brothers who are young, that is hard. Because of everything that's going on, I have to sit back and have these conversations with my kids on what to do, what not to do when approached by an officer. I have to go, when I go outside to sit by my pool at night, I really have to think to myself, could someone assume I'm breaking in and I get shot? And I shouldn't have to feel that way, and I shouldn't have to be scared like that. And my son Cordell, he is in 7th grade. And last year, he had a student in his classroom named Corday. And Corday was kind of bad. And I would get a phone call, your son was doing this, that, and the third. And I would be like, okay, let me have a conversation with Cordell. Come to find out, it wasn't Cordell. The school ended up calling me and said, oh, Miss Coleman, I'm sorry, they look alike. I didn't mean to, it's not your son, it was really Corday. I would get a phone call when Cordell's not even at school, saying it was him. How? It's because they got 2 Black kids with the same names who look similar, and they're confusing them. And this happens quite often. You see it on TV where someone Black passes away that's famous, and the news station will post a totally different picture of somebody else famous. And that's really a struggle. You know, my husband, because of what's going on with the senseless shootings, you have Fernando, who was shot in his car for getting pulled over for, you know, a taillight. He tells the officer, yeah, I have my license and registration, but I have a legal registered pistol in the glove compartment. As soon as he says that, he shoots him 7 times. Talk about Alton Sterling, Freddie Gray, Eric Gardner, Tatiana Jefferson, who was her neighbor, just simply saw her door open and called non-emergency to have someone check on her. And instead, the police pull up and shoot her in front of her nephew while she sits playing a video game. You have Tamar Rice, who was 12 years old, in seconds when the police officers showed up, they shoot and kill him. You have Breonna Taylor, who was in her home, sleep with her boyfriend on a no-knock warrant. And as the cops went into their dark home, her boyfriend, he thinks somebody's breaking in, so he, you know, shoots, you know. And she gets shot 5 times in the chest. The officer shot 25 bullets, 5 hit her, kill her. And that officer only is getting charged for the bullets that hit the apartments around, but not the bullets that hit her. That's hard. So I have to teach my kids, my Black boys, on how to make it home. My husband works nights, so I had to create this makeshift card and put it on his window to put his driver's license and his insurance card. So if he gets pulled over, he can have his arms on the steering wheel so they don't mistake him as being a thug. And that's difficult. I have a brother who is, he's in the fire department here in Phoenix. He's kind of buff. And he got pulled over. He was telling me a story. He got pulled over and the officer was trembling in fear. When the officer went back to go check his information, he reached for his badge to put it in the window so that they knew that he was, first responder, don't be scared of me. And it's crazy how me and my children and those in the Black community were labeled as thugs. We're labeled as thugs because there's drug dealers. Yeah, there's those that are alcoholic, but there's also those in other communities. But those in other communities, when they make crimes like shoot up schools, decide to go to Las Vegas and shoot up a whole bunch of people while watching the country music, those people are labeled as they have mental health. They have issues going on with their family, rough childhood. We have those too, but we're labeled as thugs. Because of the color of my skin, I'm automatically assumed as a thug, automatically assumed as a criminal. And I've experienced that. I don't go to Scottsdale Fashion Mall anymore. You want to know why? Every time I go, I've been followed. You know how I know I've been followed? We went twice. Security officer literally followed us in every store. We left. I don't go. Ross over there by in Desert Ridge, as soon as I walked in, lady walks up to me, we don't have anything you need. How do you know you don't have anything I need? So I went and I was like, I'm gonna go get what I need. She followed me. You have what you need now, ma'am, you can go. No problem, and now you will no longer get my business. Down to me moving into an apartment complex. We moved at night because Phoenix, it's hot. Whole U-Haul truck in front of our unit. The neighbor calls the police saying we're breaking in. Cops pulled up, about 5 or 6 cops with guns drawn on us. And I have to slowly show my lease to prove that I live here. I've been pulled over with my children in the car with 5, 6 cops behind cars. There was about 10 cops on us that was standing with their guns drawn, telling me I fit the description. My car fit the description. I had a 97 Honda. The back was like busted because I had backed into like another car, and the taillight was busted with red tape. How do I fit the description? And I have on my school scrubs and 3 small children in the back. And what bothers me the most is that I have to hear people tell me all the time, it's old news. Y'all guys keep talking about stuff that happened in the past. The difference is between now and then is we now have cameras. We now can record. That's the difference. It's always been an issue. I have so many stories, so many issues. And we would just come home and we just talk about it and we just brush it under the rug, go on about our day. Me and my parents moved to Austin when I was 16, and we watched our house get built up from the ground up. And we would go visit, watching being built. It was exciting. And cop pulls up, tells us we don't belong there. You guys are not supposed to be here. My dad goes, no, this is our house. No, it's not your house. Yes, this is our house. My dad had to slowly go to the car to provide the paperwork to show that it was our house. He says, no, it's not. You guys need to leave. So we left. So what I want you guys to get out of this, I just wanted to make an impact. What I want you guys to get out of this is to listen. I know you will never understand, but try to have some understanding and some empathy. Stop saying it doesn't happen anymore. It does. Some of us choose to talk about it, some of us don't. And stop saying that Black Lives Matter is trying to create a race war. We're not. We're actually trying to end a race war that's been going against us for the last 400 years. We're just tired. So if you guys have any questions.
Thank you so much.
Powerful story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Team, we'll open up for questions, so please go ahead, ask your question now.
I just want to say I really support you, Autumn. I feel I do understand, you know, if anything, for you to be able to get this out helps you deal with the issue. And I bet your son is really proud of you because he's listening too, and we support you and your family.
Yeah, thank you.
Autumn, this is Angela from the vet team. I just wanted to thank you for doing this and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
This is Kelsey from the vet team, and I wanted to thank you also. But I wanted to also comment that the first thing I noticed was your hair. And I thought, wow, her hair looks so beautiful. So own it, girl.
Thank you. I didn't realize I have like a ton of cameras going.
Autumn, this is Kim from the vet team. I just wanted to thank you for your vulnerability. Most of all, I think being able to talk about all of everything that you are up against, and with such passion and I just really appreciate that. I really do. I can't imagine how difficult and frustrating all of that is. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to have to talk to my kids about that. And I just thank you for talking about it and putting like a face that everyone knows in the company to make it more real. You know, we hear about it on the news and luckily, you know, we're hearing more and more about it now. And that's not to say that, you know, it would be great if this didn't happen, but like the more that it's talked about and highlighted and personalized, I think the more aware white people are going to be, and it's really white people that have to change. It's not you, it's us. So thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Hey, Autumn, it's Yessie. I wanted to say thanks for sharing. And as you were telling your story, we've worked a lot more closely together, and we've kind of, you know, shared whatever kind of moments we've shared with each other. And I was over here crying as you're telling your story because I think it's so unfair, and I'm tired of hearing about all of what's happening. I'm tired. So you're right. I will not understand, and I cannot comprehend how you are feeling, but you've made it pretty close for me to comprehend it. And I'm sorry. And I don't know what else, I guess I don't know what to say. It sucks that you have to go through this. It sucks that your family has to go through this. It is completely not fair for you, your family, or anybody of color to have to go through this. It isn't. It isn't. And to Kim's point, you know, we all have to change. This isn't about you. I agree with her.
Thank you for
thanks for sharing and your vulnerability.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Autumn. This is Jennifer Burgess. Again, thank you for telling your story. And I think I also want to kind of ditto what Yessie said. Hearing you talk about what you have to deal with daily, not only just protecting yourself and your husband, but your kids. As a mother, I can relate to that, and a woman being in situations, but for me, it's been situational. If I'm on a business trip and I hop in an Uber late at night, I, go, okay, am I safe? Make sure that my husband knows where I'm at, or my kids, if maybe I've had, some contractors or they're going in. But to hear you tell your story and the fact that you're dealing with this every single day, it's not situational, just really powerful. And so I appreciate you sharing it, and I can tell the passion, that you have, and it's definitely eye-opening to hear. And I, same thing, I don't know if sorry is the word that you have to deal with that every day, but the situations that I'm in when I'm uncomfortable are unnerving, and I'm sorry that you and your family have to feel that every single day. I did have a question. Do you feel with, the way the world is today, do you feel that there are some changes for your kids? Are they feeling maybe more comfortable now that things are not comfortable per se, but are they happy? Do you see some light in that things will change for them?
No.
No.
And the reason why I don't see that anything's going to change is because people think we're crazy. They think that this isn't a figment of our imagination and that this doesn't happen. And it's like, it does. It really does. Like, how is it that a person can go shoot up a school and get walked to a police car, but a person who had some Skittles in their hand doesn't make it home? And this happens often. And it's just like, I really don't see it, because a lot of people think it's just a figment of our imagination, and we're just trying to hold on to the past. And it was like, we wished it was just the past, but it's not. And I had to really take a think about it. My dad was born in 1963. He was 3 years old when Martin Luther King was assassinated. So it's not that long ago. My grandparents marched in the civil rights movement. Like, they went through this. My grandparents had to drink at the only colored fountain. My grandparents, not my great grandparents, or like my aunt, like my grandparents, my grandma, the one who helped raise me, her, so it's didn't happen that long ago. And it's gonna take for people to finally just be like, this is real, and we have to make a change. Like, they keep saying, blue lives matter. Their blue lives absolutely does matter, but they chose to be blue. I didn't wake up one day and just said, I'm going to go to school and be black. That didn't happen. I was born this way. And as a little girl, I used to want to be white. Honestly, as little girls, like, I used to cry sometimes, God, why did you make me this color? I would get treated differently. My hair wouldn't be made fun of. People wouldn't call me names in regards to my skin color. They wouldn't talk about my bigger nose or my lips. Like, why did you make me look like this? And over years, I've just learned to just start embracing my blackness. And people get upset because we wear shirts like this. They get upset, and they said, oh, you guys are doing the Black Power thing. But what about, it's Hispanic power, white? We're not taking away anybody's power. We're not saying that, anyone's less than. It's just that we've been condemned, told we're dumb, told we're stupid, told we're ugly, and now we're woke. We're woke, and we are embracing who we are, and we don't care what you think or how you feel. We are going to love ourselves, and we're going to say Black girls rule. We're going to say Black power. We're going to say that because we've been told that we had none, and we're taking our power back. But we're taking it back the right way. Now, we do have some people out here who are looters and not really protesting for the cause, but there's difference. There's protesters and there's looters. We have to learn the difference. And those that are protesting, they're doing it for the right reasons. Those that are looters, they're trying to, I don't know what their goal is. They're just dumb. Most of them are young. Most of them are just kids trying to, not go to school. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Thank you for sharing the story. I'm So I'm sorry. I hope that someday it will change.
I hope it does, but I don't see it happening no time soon.
Artem, do you see that younger generations may be seeing things differently? I just know with my own children, they've had an impact on my view of Black Lives Matter. I don't know if you see that with others, but maybe it's a generational thing.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think it is a generational thing. I think the younger generation are amazing kids. I mean, they have taken over social media. Did you see them take over TikTok to not show up to some rally and people didn't show up? Like these young kids, they do look at things differently. I actually had a coworker, my ex-coworker from my old job, Republic Services. She's about 22, 23. And she used to think that I was crazy. This doesn't really happen. Maybe you just misheard them or maybe she would say that all the time. And then after George Floyd's death, she called me in tears and she was like, I'll never understand, but I finally get it. And I was like, I can respect her for that, you know, but I think the younger crowd is more open-minded than the older crowd.
That's good to hear. Yep.
Hi,
I have a
Autumn.
quick
It's Joe. Oh,
Hey.
go ahead.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead, Joe. I'll go after.
No, you can go. You can go first.
Okay, Autumn, first of all, thank you so much. You totally had me crying over here. And I hate the fact that you feel this way and your family. In my own personal experience, when I lived in the Southeast, that was the first time I really experienced seeing racism in front of my face and like live and in person. And I just was in shock. I mean, it kind of spiraled into an argument, but that was the first time I really experienced it. And when I was able to move to Phoenix, I was so happy to get out of that area because it was so negative, and the people, like how they responded, and I'm talking about my race, unfortunately, I hate to classify that, but they just responded in such a negative way. Do you ever feel like there's certain areas that are just worse than others? Have you experienced, because I know you have traveled some, so have you ever had an area that was worse than others or better and more welcoming?
Hold on, I lost sound again.
Can you hear it okay?
All right. Sorry, I had lost sound again and had to put my headset on to get it again. I do apologize.
Oh, no. So I guess my question was, have you ever experienced within the country with you traveling and visiting places where it's worse than others, or you feel more welcome than other places? Because for me, unfortunately, I have to characterize the Southeast because living there, it was not, I mean, obviously there's a lot more history, negative history in the Southeast, but have you ever, do you have any places that you think of that?
Yes. Yeah, I was born in Kansas City, Missouri. I was raised in Des Moines, Iowa, and I lived in Texas for my junior, senior year of high school. And then I went off to college. So Iowa has a lot of diversity, a lot. Like there is Hispanics, Africans, a lot of different Asians, like Korea, Vietnamese. So it's a lot of very diverse and very friendly, very hospitality in Iowa. In Texas, it depends on where you go. Austin is completely diverse. However, I went to college, when I first went off to college, I went to college in Hawkins, Texas, which was my college I went to is Jarvis Christian College, which is an HBCU. And the school made up the population of the city. And so that means that most of that city was Black. But you did not travel to Marshall, Texas by yourself. If you've ever seen the movie Great Debaters, Great Debaters is based off in like the 1918s. It still looks like till this day. And you do not go to Marshall by yourself if you're Black, because if you are, you might not make it out. That's where I seen my first Klan march. And so I went there once. After the Klan march, I was like, this ain't for me. I can't do this. But East Texas, Jacksonville, Alto, you don't want to walk around by yourself. It's very racist. Phoenix, I have experienced most of my racial discrimination here in Phoenix. Like, one thing I left out is like a year ago, I came home from, my neighbor called me to let me know my dogs got out, and my front door was open and my back gate was open. And so when we got there, we called the police. And because of all that's going on, I let the lady know, the operator know, I just let you know that I'm an African-American woman. And then that ticked her off. She went on a whole rant about Blue Lives Matter. I didn't care at the time. All I cared about is I need somebody in my house. She hangs the phone up on me. I call back, request a supervisor. She goes, look into it. They didn't send the cops. They didn't send no police. My husband ended up having to leave work, him and my neighbor, with my neighbors, because we don't have guns. I don't believe in them things. And so my husband and my neighbor had to go into our house with his gun to make sure our house was clear, because they never sent the police. All because I told her I was Black. So my most experience has been in Phoenix, mostly. I mean, I experienced when I was younger, traveling like from Chicago to me and my parents would go to Chicago a lot. But yeah, I would say mostly Phoenix and East Texas.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Autumn. Thanks. This is Joe. Thanks again for sharing your story. And, you said something pretty beautiful Wednesday night when you said that Cubex is unlike any other company that you've been with, where you feel like we're more of a family than a company. And that,
absolutely,
that means a lot to, I know, a lot of us on this call, that you feel that way. And I just want to say thank you, for teaching us today to really listen with empathy. And I could tell you right now that some of us may not fully understand all the things that you've been through. I can tell you that your family here at Cubex definitely hears you. You hear it in their tears coming through this phone, and we're there for you, and we're there for you moving forward, and we're going to continue to be that family for you. So I guess my question to you is, what can we be doing better here at Cubex to better support you?
I think Cubex is already doing what needs to be done. I've never worked for a company who is actually interested and is wanting to learn more. And I knew that when Anton reached out to me sometime in June, right after the George Floyd, and just wanted to know my experiences. And I'm like, what? He wants to do what? Okay. And usually companies are not interested, and let alone, the CEO reaching out, wanting more knowledge and understanding, and then providing knowledge. I mean, just to see even him back, after he was providing Netflix and videos and different sites that gives different tips and, different tips on how to engage, how to communicate, how to understand. So I think Cubex is on the right path, and I just feel like just continue to stay on this path, and we will outshine every other company when it comes to wanting to understand diversity. So I don't think you guys are already on the right path to just keep moving forward with it.
Thanks for that.
Autumn, this is Bree. I just want to let you know you did great. Really proud of you. I love your hair. Keep rocking it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your passion and explaining everything of what we as Black women go through, and how important it is for us to be heard and know that we're not trying to outshine anybody. We're just trying to all be the same.
Equality, exactly. Thank you, Bree.
You're welcome.
Hey, Autumn, this is Shannon.
Hey,
I just
Shannon.
wanted to say I'm very proud of you. I also want to say how important I think it is for people to get these stories out there, because you mentioned Iowa. I'm from the Iowa-Illinois border. I was having a conversation with my mom a while back, and she said that, well, I'm not racist, and nobody I know is racist, so I just have a hard time believing that any of this stuff is actually happening. I think when we're from an area where thankfully we don't see as much of this kind of thing happening, it's very easy to be in denial because you want to believe the best about everybody. And so you want to think that nobody would treat anyone else differently because that's not how we would treat somebody. So I think hearing these stories, and not just a vague story of, you know, somebody across the country was shot, but hearing it from people we know, it hits closer to home and it makes it more real for those of us who don't experience it. So thank you very much. I think this is a very important thing for people to hear.
Thank you.
Autumn, if I could send you some bebops and tasty tacos from Iowa, I'd be on.
Oh my goodness.